Pacific Nations Cup match number 2, folks. Tonga and Samoa, 30 points to 16 for Tonga. That is a pretty big turnaround. When these guys played last year, it was 43-17 the other way. So a massive result for Tonga. Dominant first half, 20 points to 6. Big Ben Tameifuna, at times the star of the show for the Tongans. But man, they had a lot of possession, a lot of territory, and the Samoans at times just looked a bit disorganized. But man, got to give credit to this Tongan side. Great line speed was putting pressure on the Samoan guys when they did have some ball in hand. They did manage to get a couple of second half tries, the Samoans, so perhaps they will build into the competition, but it's a bit of an early setback for them. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this game went. First try for Tonga came pretty early. It's Moala who's able to get over. It is on the back of a bit of good scrum, which won themselves a penalty to get themselves some field position down Samoa's end. A nice line-out move. They did it a couple of times in the first half. Just 1-2 move back to the hooker and then up the sideline. So that was getting some good go-far ball from a Tongan point of view. Phases, and then Moala is able to finish off, basically carried over almost, or pushed from behind by Big Ben Tameifuna. So 7 points to 0 for the Tongans early. And it's nice for Tonga to know you've got a pretty reliable goal kicker and Patrick Pellegrini there as well. They were able to opt for his boot a fair bit. A lot of Tongan possession, a lot of Tongan territory. You felt like they need some points to, I don't know, to get out of all this like traditional stats that you've got. If you're going to camp down the opposition end, you need to get something from it. They did eventually get points, as I said, from the boot of Patrick Pellegrini. It was Big Ben Tameifuna winning a penalty at the breakdown for that one, to be fair. So a double-digit lead, but honestly, I felt like Tonga could have been better value for that lead given the amount of time they had spent down Samoa's end. But again, you've got to give credit to a bit of the Samoan defense for keeping them out. We got the first TMO call of the game in the second period of the first half, when the Samoans did look to be pushing the Tongan guys back in terms of kick through that was, forcing the Tongan guys back into their own in-goal area. But a slightly high tackle from Alosio meant that he got himself penalised. I mean, they were both kind of falling, but penalised means it's another bit of a I don't want to say a let-off for Tonga, but it's like there was a chance for Samoa to grab some momentum in the game, but the penalty conceded kind of lets it off. And then on 25 minutes, Tonga stole some Samoan line-out ball. The Samoan line-out was another area of concern because it didn't operate all that well. It was in the Samoan 22, and then that man, Takolua, who has been such a loyal Tongan player for so many years. Like, I remember he's one of the guys who even came back to New Zealand during the COVID years to play for Tonga against the All Blacks. And he's able to get reward with a try from close range, a great reach out from him. So 17 points to 0. That's a phenomenal opening to the game from a Tongan perspective in front of a good crowd. I didn't mention them. They were in good voice, good weather as well. Everything was looking kind of picture perfect over in Tonga. Samoa did manage to break the duck and get some points on the board with a 30-minute penalty to get 3 points on the board, as I said. But then Pellegrini got the 3 points back not too long later to make it 20 points to 3. And then one more Samoan penalty after a couple of line breaks both ways, to be fair, meant Samoa opted for another one to make it 20 points to 6 at halftime, which is still a 2-score lead for Tonga going into the shed. So I think they'll be pretty happy with that, although they did have 62% possession and territory in that first half. So you could argue maybe a 2-score lead's not good enough. They had 4 line breaks to zip. The Samoans had missed 10 tackles to Tonga's 3. I mean, Maile had made like 51 meters from a couple of those nice line-out moves from a Tongan perspective, the hooker. So, yeah, it was looking very, very good from a Tongan perspective. Second half starts with a Samoan chance and Tonga being warned for kind of late penalties, after the kicks. And Samoa ended up kicking the resulting penalty dead. So an immediate chance to, again, wrestle some momentum out of this game. I don't want to say kind of thrown away, but anytime you see a penalty kick dead, especially when you're 14 points behind, is a pretty tough one. And then Tonga, no such mistake when they had a penalty. Pellegrini's boot got them some good advantage, but I mean, the Tongans had a chance for a line out and it was shut down. They had a chance for an attacking scrum, it was shut down. They had an attacking 5-meter tap and it was shut down. So the Samoans were hanging on. I mean, McFarlane had to go off injured, which is pretty bad news because not only is he a captain, but he's certainly one of the best Samoan players on the paddock. But yeah, they did manage to get themselves a try. On the hour mark, it was Tuitama who's able to finish it. It was Nanai with a cracking offload, and it's one of the times they did actually manage to go through a bunch of phases. It was 10 plus phases before they went over in the corner to really kind of stretch the Tongan defense, which, as I said, had been pretty comfortable getting up in the Samoan guys' faces. So 20 points to 11 looks like it could be properly game on, especially as the Samoans really look to have kind of control of the momentum in this period of the second half. But a late tackle, again, it's a soft one. A late tackle, this time it's from a Samoan player, means that Pellegrini has a shot at a 40-meter penalty and he nails it. So 23 points to 11 kind of halts that momentum from Samoa, and then they really put the icing on the cake when they got a 76-minute try. It's Moli who gets it again. It's a pretty soft penalty at the breakdown, which gives the Tongans the attacking chance. And we're at 30 points to 11. So that's after Big Ben has gone off as well. To be fair, when Big Ben went off, you felt like it was slightly advantage to Samoa. Not that it's just about one guy, but yeah, it was good to see the Tongans able to score a try when Big Ben was still off the field. Samoa did have a bit of magic at the end, though. Nanai was able to finish off one for a consolation try. Some really sweet offloads from the Samoans to get around that rush defense from the Tongans. When it stuck, but there was just too little of it throughout the game. So we finish at 30 points to 16. It's a good win for Tonga. As I mentioned, it was 43-17 last year, so that is a hell of a turnaround from them. Fisikoi, I also forgot to mention, the loose head prop for Tonga put in a heck of a kick through at one point as well. For a guy in the number 1 jersey, that was quite incredible. But some stats. The possession of territory kind of finish out a bit. Even the commentators did mention that there was a bit of a breeze. So maybe that's part of that. But the line out, 90% Tonga, 62% Samoa. That's a key factor. But you got to get your line out right. The line breaks is 6-zip. Turnovers conceded is 13-9. That one was against Tonga, so they probably could have had some more points if they had hung on to the ball a wee bit better. But the tackle percent, 88% from Tonga is class. 80% from Samoa is just not going to get it done. Individuals, Takalua, 5 defenders beaten. Big Ben, Tamiafuna, a couple of turnovers won. Matavao for Samoa also had a couple of turnovers won. But, yeah, Lotu Anisi, 11 tackles from him on defense for Tonga. They have the Fijians next, Tonga away from home, so that will be a bit of a step up, one would imagine, but really pleasing with what we've seen from them thus far. It's an interesting start to the Pacific Nations Cup. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Subscribe to the channel if you want more Pacific Nations Cup action, because it's a competition I enjoy watching as well. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.